Oh, hello, how are we? Hello, everybody, to another Focus Mark 1 live stream. Focus Mark 1 surgery general chat. If you have a problem with your Mark 1, I thought it'd be a good opportunity of just doing another live stream just to keep putting things out there. And yes, as you see, I've got some sort of colourful flag behind me, which is linked to my Mark 1 Preservation Club. It is no longer a group. It is a group, but the official title is club because that's what I intend for it to be in the long run. Tadas, good evening, buddy. Happy weekend. We finally made it. The tile of work, although some people do work weekends. Yep. I'm quite fortunate I don't have to do that in my line of work. Although saying that, I am actually filming tomorrow a car review. Oh, that's not good, is it? So I've got two jobs. So I do work weekends, but not a job. At least it's not. It's enjoyable. But anyway, welcome to another live stream. We have 6 people. Goodness me, you guys got any lives or something, or you got nothing better to do than watch me? Oh dearie me. Nick, hello buddy. How are things? I hope you are good. Tadas, I did get your message, and I hope you're well. And we'll sort things out with regards to you coming over. It would be amazing to have you over for one of the Focus Mark 1 meets. And anything you need, just let me know. Um, I'm not too bad, Nick. I'm not too bad at all. Just long day and lots of things to do and not enough time. So I thought I'd even compact my life even more and just shove another live stream straight in there. This might be an hour and a half because I've got an early start tomorrow. I've got MOTs to be getting on with. Tell us, as long as I don't look tired, that's the main thing. Anyway, Darren, hello, buddy. I hope you're okay too. I hope things are going well. Hopefully see you at the Motorist and possibly with my son as well, who's in the process of buying an ST170 4-door. Do you mean 5-door? Because I never did 4-door ST170s. Fingers crossed on that one. ST170s are a good bet before they become extortionately expensive, and there's less than 2,000 of them. I look forward to seeing you at the Motorist as well, buddy. It's going to be a lovely day, and this flag will be there. Celebrating Ford's design classic, if you can see over my shoulder, because that's the best summing up of a car that it is. It is Ford's own classic design, and it has never been bettered. There are not many cars that I would definitely say is a design classic. The original Mini, was one of them, and that was a great car, and so is this. Tadas, I will let you know, still figuring what I need and thinking, excuse me, my eyes, I'm thinking if the car will weep oil a bit because it's an old car. There's going to be a problem. No drops on the ground, just oily engine. But that's good as long as there's no drops on the ground, then it's not severe. I have known cars to leak oil or coolant, and it's so minor that it doesn't even reach the ground. I've known coolant leaks on the thermostat housings on any of the engines, petrol or diesel, and they actually weep so minorly that they evaporate on the block of the engine, so you'll never see it hit the ground. So you put a bit of cardboard underneath and you think, oh, I've got no leaks, I've got no coolant leak. Wrong, you can have one, but a very minor one, and it's good practice to pick things like that up. You'll know if you've got a coolant leak, because even though the coolant will evaporate, it will turn to like a white powder or pink powder, very obvious. You'll see it on the block. You'll see it mainly around the water pump areas. Sometimes they do tend to weep if they're aftermarket. That's the sign that something is about to go a bit more, so you need to deal with it before it becomes a breakdown problem. So fingers crossed. The other tip is to make sure that the power steering switch is also dry as a bone, because the sign that they're going to burst is a bit of moisture, oily moisture around where the switch screws into the pump. But basically that's where the O-ring is. The O-rings get hard and they burst. That is something that could leave any Mark 1 owner stranded, and I've still got the original switch in mind, so I do need to change that on mine. before soon. I have got a new old stock one. But it's an old car. It's going to happen. I think Mark 1 daily ownership is becoming extremely difficult, especially long distance, because it is an old car. No matter how reliable they were and still are to a point, they will keep on throwing problems. That is the nature of old cars, Focus Mark 1 or not. Nick, good luck with the MOTs. I've got Derek's MOT on the 8th of March. Fingers crossed for you there. I think Derek will not have a problem in the bodywork department. And that's half the problem with Mark 1. So I think you're halfway there already. DB Sparks, hello Dave. I hope you're well, buddy. I'm good. I'm not too bad, my friend. I tell you what, the silver restoration looks absolutely amazing. By the way, guys, for those of you who don't know, the video I did yesterday on the Ford Focus Silver, which is Dave's car, it is DB Sparks in the comments. So please say thank you. Say thank you. Say well done to DB Sparks. Well, you can say thank you for giving you motivation and inspiration, because it's made me think about mine, and mine's getting a bit tatty underneath and the edge, around the edges. Nothing major, but I'm picky. But when when I see Focus like that underneath, and not just underneath, it'll be like that all around. The detail and the level of work, it will really pay for itself. Dave has had some problems, haven't you, Dave, with that car? There have been some niggles. So no matter how good it looks, because you're disturbing so much, you will have niggles, but the niggles will keep whittling themselves down as such. And there'll be an update video with that in the near distant future. But I think the intention is to reveal the car properly at the second meetup in July at a good venue. I'm not going to reveal the location. I only reveal the location generically inside the group, but I don't mind. Most people know the motorist is the first location. But anyway, next one. Darren, yeah, mate, 5-door. There you go. Told you so. Somebody convinced me ages ago that there was an ST170 4-door saloon, and I said that is not possible. They never did one. They did make an estate, of which there were about 90 of them ish on the road, but a couple of them, strangely enough, have been converted to camper van conversions. No idea. Tadas, and by far the way for people, I fixed the shaking problem. It was a longer drive shaft. Might be the inner CV or this support bearing. Could be, because when if the support bearing goes, it will sound like a wheel bearing itself, because it effectively is similar to a wheel bearing. Coolant, no more leaks, but the oil is everywhere. Turbo pipes are a bit damp. Bottom timing cover is wet, but still nothing on the ground. To fully fix it, I need to do so much to change. Just have a closer look just to see what you might think. Instead of disturbing too many things, I know what you mean. You don't want to disturb things at this late stage. I would say the turbo pipes might be on their way out. Have you changed the turbo pipes by any chance? Because they are prone to leaking if they've not been changed. Just a word of advice on that one. The timing belt cover is wet. Could be the cam seal. It could be a cam seal fault at the top. It's only a single cam, it's one seal, but it could go and just drip a bit of oil down. As long as it's not getting on the belt, I really do hope that would not be the case. Not necessarily the chain's fine, but it'd be the belt that would be the problem. So I would be checking if the belt has hopefully not got any oil on it. We don't want oil contamination on that belt. So I think that's the most important thing to check before you come over. Make sure that belt is dry. But I'm pretty sure it will be some sort of cam seal issue if it's in the timing belt area itself. Nick, in your opinion, do you think that I should take the engine cover and under tray for the MOT or keep it on? Engine cover and under tray for the MOT or keep it on? I know, just keep it on. The MOT tester is not going to remove that. They can't remove engine covers. They have to inspect it as it is presented. The only thing they can physically do, they'll be opening the doors, they'll be opening the bonnet. There is no need. They just want to make sure that the doors shut properly and the bonnet shuts properly on the catch. Because unfortunately, I have known a Mark 1 to have a bonnet catch issue I don't know how it happened, because it's the only time I've ever heard of this happening, where the catch had actually not actually caught on the second latch, and they thought the bonnet was closed, and at 70 miles an hour on the motorway, the windscreen went straight on the windscreen. That's frightening. That really is frightening. I've heard of that happening before. I've seen videos of that happen, and God forbid if that happens to anyone. And that's why during the MOT they must make sure that the bonnet catch works, because that windscreen could cause death, because you basically have it smash into the windscreen and you've lost vision at speed. So, and it always happens at motorway speeds. It doesn't happen at any other speed, because it's the force of air going under the bonnet and forcing the bonnet up and back. It's really that bad. The car was written off because it wasn't just the windscreen damage. The car didn't crash. They just pulled over on the hard shoulder, and they got on the hard shoulder fine, and they're fine. But the car was a wreck. The windscreen had gone and the roof had caved in, and you'd have to pull the roof up and everything. It's too far gone. It would need thousands of pounds worth of pulling and bodywork to recorrect that, and there's a chance that even after all that, the windscreen is not going to seal properly against the bodywork, and that's when you get leaks anyway. No matter how much windscreen sealant you put on, that's not going to stop that issue. So keep them on, not a problem. They cannot interfere with them. Tadas, I did change those flex pipes on the front near the intercooler. Good. And the cover, well, you see, it is a chain thing, and I need to change all the chain, the cam seals, the chain. They shouldn't need changing. You never need them to be changed, but the timing belt will be, not the chain. No, it shouldn't be. Oh, hello, PDT 1060. Hello, welcome to the live stream, buddy. Hi Andy, I'm looking at replacing my original rear shocks on my 1.6 hatchback. Any advice on the brands? I know in previous workshop you did. You had a lot of knowledge on the shocks. Okay, so I was lucky. I managed to get genuine Ford rear shock absorbers, because the genuine Ford ones, they come with the foam rubber, they come with the sort of plastic cover to cover the shocker. It's just a plastic top to it, and a little bit of foam and the top mount bush. On the aftermarket ones, you don't have any of that. You have to buy the boot kit, which comes with the plastic tube and the foam separately, and I think the top mount, but I'm not sure about the top mount. That might be a separate item. And then you'll have to swap all that and put it on the new one. You might be lucky with the top mount. You might be able to swap all 3 items over onto the new one. I really wouldn't worry too much about rear shockers and where you get them from, as long as it's not cheap. I'll put it that way. Just make sure that it's not, again, just make sure it's not cheap, but reasonably priced. Monroe, KYB, they are the usual suspects. KYB is very good for springs and shockers, so that's my advice on that one. You can get genuine ones still, I think, but you have to be very lucky. I paid 50 quid each for mine, and the rear shockers are very much the same on every Mark 1 apart from SD170s and Estates. So they are quite they're quite interchangeable with whatever specification it is, apart from those 2 particularly. So yeah, that's my advice. But the genuine ones they'll be way more than 50 quid a corner now. But the point is, the reason I bought them wasn't just because they were genuine, but they came with everything. They came with the boot kit and the top mounts. It might actually work out more expensive buying an aftermarket one than getting a boot kit. Depends what state they're in. Usually the foam is completely shot, and they are important at the top there. It kind of sponges the shock absorber action against the body. It's not just the top mount that does the work. I'm afraid we've got 12 people watching this. Fantastic. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another live stream celebrating the Ford Focus Mark 1 and whatever problems you might have. It is all about celebrating Ford's design classic. Yay, there we go. I've got that in the screen quite nicely. Next one. Dave, DB Sparks. Yeah, I've ordered a new intake temperature sensor, so hopefully that will solve the issue. Good man. If anybody wants to know that issue, I'll cover it in another episode. But basically, Dave started the car up and it ran perfectly fine. Absolutely started first time, no problems. But when it warmed up, it was hunting a little bit and stuttering at the idle. And there were 3 codes that came up. Nothing to do with the idle control valve. There were 3 codes that came up, and one of them was it's a suspect map sensor fault, and a suspect in, I think it was in the 1.6 hatchback. And the 2 others, I can't remember which one it was. But one of them was a suspect map sensor fault, and a suspect in the 1.6 hatchback. air temperature sensor, which they go wrong. And when they go wrong, I've had this on my car, but it's part of the inlet air temperature sensor on my car is part of the MAF sensor. And when it goes, it can make the car run into limp-home mode. It's possible that car might have gone into that, but Dave wouldn't know because he hasn't moved it. It's just statically idling. But everything else was fine. So it was those two faults, and it caused another. It was a third error code, which was the oxygen sensor. But usually the oxygen sensor warning code, the lander sensor code, it usually goes off if a couple of other things are not perfect and not functioning properly. So replace those two items, Dave. That should be your job done. But very rarely a map sensor packs up, but they can do. They can do. And usually when you get fault codes on a Mark 1, they've gone. Mark 1s do not, the ECUs on Mark 1s do not throw up codes unless something is completely gone. That's the truth. They're dumb ECUs, as I've said many times before. They don't tell you much information, but when they do, something's gone. So that's your issue, Dave. JH2020, hello, welcome to the live stream. Just bought a Mark 3 Fiesta 1.1 LX at 16, fixing up from an iDrive. Well done, lovely, lovely to. Sorry, excuse me, I dropped my glasses. Lovely to hear somebody who has got into Fiesta Mark 3s at such a young age. Lovely, great to see young people getting involved in older cars. It's not for the faint-hearted, Mark 3s. As long as it's a decently solid one. What year is it by any chance? Question of that one. But the LX is a nice specification. You'll get almost everything apart from what was on the gear, which was very few other things. But the LX has a lot of what the gear has. Nice specification for the money back in the day. And I would say what needs to be done to it. You're going to love that car. It's motivation for passing your driving test. When you know there's a car waiting in the wings. I didn't do things like that. I just bought the Focus about a week after passing the driving test. For me, I didn't want to put the pressure on myself of having a car on the driveway and knowing that I have to pass this test because I've already got a car waiting for me. I'll get back to you. Oh, so I've seen your comment. 1990 had all the seals done. Brilliant, superb. That's a nice, pretty early car then. Getting an 89 Fiesta is quite expensive now. From what I've seen, quite a few of them are going for good money. 1990 Fiestas are very strong on the values, and the fact it's had the seals done is a major plus point because that is expensive on any car. So fingers crossed it continues to be that way. As long as you keep an eye around the filler flap area. Bit of advice I have for you there. Sorry, I don't mean for it to be a Fiesta Mark III repair video, but I have to say this. On the early Fiesta Mark IIIs, the filler cap design, dreadful design. They rot, just as they rot on Ford KAs and Fiesta Mark IVs and 5s of a younger age. My advice is to get inside the wheel arch and clean on the other side of the filler pipe. Okay, and stuff as much wax on that side, and then take the cap out, take the cap off, and take the plastic black surround off. Just prise it off. It's held in with clips. Be very gentle. Prise it off, and make sure you stuff a light smearing of wax just around where basically you've got two pieces of metal where the outer wing joins to the inner wheel arch, and that's where it rots. So put a bit of wax on it and then put the trim back on, and hopefully that will keep rust at bay. It starts from around the cap and it spreads. It's dreadful. I've seen Mark 1 KAs where the filler flap is hardly attached to the bodywork. It's all rotten around it. So please bear in mind about that. They really are painful for that. It's something they corrected later on with the Mark 3.5. But Mark 3s are much nicer, purer cars than 3.5s, because I feel as if the Mark 3.5 has a lot of added on features that made it on the Mark 4, but it was just a Mark 3, but it didn't quite have the same essence, with airbags and then ECU setups and central fuel injection, the single point fuel injection you got on a lot of the models. It wasn't quite as classic as an early Mark III, so that's why I say an early Mark III. The earliest, the better. And I find that the early Mark IIIs were much better built, strangely enough, despite their great age. So Great car. You're going to love it. Tadas, timing belt was recently changed, but if you do all the seals, you need to remove the chain. So why not change the chain then? You don't need to change the chain. I've never known them to stretch. So yeah, I get your logic, and it's normally what I would do, especially if it's a belt, obviously. But no, you don't need to, unless it's stretched. You can get the chains. Front crank seal is with the chain gasket kit. Good. Change that as well. That might also be the problem actually that I forgot to mention. So, but I just don't think the chains are known for stretching. But you can get a new old stock one. Go for it. Go for it. Just sometimes you don't have to spend that sort of money because it's not necessary. I did see Ford K with the filler flap and a big hole. Yes, that's usual. Ford KAs, Mark 1s, they're going to be very sought after in the future, I think. A lot of people have got good memories of KAs. They drove right. They were cheap cars, but they drove really nicely. They're Fiestas, ultimately. But they did rot. They spent absolutely no money on them whatsoever. They rot as badly as 60s, 70s British classics. Mice Marinas, you know, remember them? Minis? They're worse, probably. It's really bad. But the cost had to be cut somewhere. They have the same issues. Someone has got a collection of Ford KAs that I've seen on Facebook. Unbelievable. He's sitting on the gold mine and he knows it. That's why he's done it. Pity I can't do the same with Mark 1s. I want to ask a question actually. Has anybody watched the latest Mark 1 review video that has been done by Furious Driving, Matt Richardson? Has anybody watched that, and what's your opinion? Because I've watched it and I have my opinion. Just saying, putting it out there. It came out tonight, by the way. Wayne, hello, thanks for all the advice. No problem, buddy, not at all. Welcome to the channel, my friend. I have a Mark 1 Focus 1.6 3-door. Lovely. 3 doors. Lovely. I'm biased towards them, but they do look nice, don't they? If I take out the speedo, will I have to reset the ECU computer? No. It's not like a Mark 2. Mark 2s have a system where the ECU is linked to the speedo. And usually what happens with Mark 2s is if the speedo cluster starts going wrong, because they also have solder problems in the cluster where they can play up as much as Mark 1s, that will cause the car to cut out because the speedo is connected to the ECU. The ECU is not physically connected to the speedo on a Mark 1. You will have no such issues. You won't have to reset anything. It's an old-fashioned speedo. The only information the ECU takes is from the speedo sensor, which is what gives the gauge its reading. That's all you need to know. JH2020, thank you very much for the info, greatly appreciated. Feel as everyone has the same first cars these days. Also, surprisingly cheap on classic car insurance. Sorry, I didn't understand that. Feel as everyone has the same first car these days. Also, I don't know what you meant by that. Could you clarify that? I don't want to get that confused. If you could clarify that, I was a bit confused about that one. Sorry, a bit late in the evening. Yeah, I'm starting to get tired. Surprisingly cheap on classic car insurance. Well, I'm going to do a shout out now. If you've got a Mark 1 Focus in the UK, I've just insured my Mark 1 for the first time on proper classic car insurance. Okay, and I had a couple of little ideas of where I could go. Now, my Ford Fiesta Mark 3 is registered, insured with Lancaster Insurance for very reasonable money. And I was going to go there, but it turns out Haggerty made me a better offer. Now, Haggerty have offered me a stupidly low quote for my Mark 1. I was being quoted quotes of about £400, £500. It varies from how long you've been driving, what's your no claims, where do you live, where do you park it, how many miles do you want to do it. It varies. I can't give insurance advice, but what I can tell you is that Haggerty, go on their website, get a quote, because they've got an online quoter. Haggerty can give you cheaper quotes because their insurance insists that your Mark 1 is not your main driver, this is a problem. If your Mark 1 Focus is your daily driver and you don't have the use of another car, you can't go into Haggerty. Haggerty will only insure a classic on the basis you have a main daily driver, and they want proof. So when you do your quote, they will ask, what is the registration of your main driver? And I had to give the Road 45 because that's my main driver. So on the basis of low mileage, it's not your main driver, and it's social, domestic and pleasure only, they have given me an extremely good quote of just over £200, and I couldn't believe it. Now, I've insured it for about 1,000 miles in a year because I will not drive the Focus that much in the next year, just this year, and that's my quote. And I would recommend people go for them. The value, it's agreed value. They will value the car anything up to £20,000 without photos. However, they do have a valuation service, and their valuation service dictates that on a lot of things based on data, that most Mark 1 Focuses are, especially in concourse condition, if they're at the best, like mine, the best, Dave's silver, yours is going to be that, they're worth about £2,500. So if you insure it more than that, now I've put mine down as £3,000 because I think that's what it's valued as at the moment. Okay. They might ask for photos. They might ask me for photos. They haven't done so yet, but they might ask me for proof. That's absolutely fine. But unless your car is worth over £20,000, they won't automatically ask you for photos. And they will agree to that. And I think that is great. And guess who the underwriters are? Because remember, Haggerty is the broker. Guess who the underwriters are? Aviva. Aviva are insuring my car. That is classic car insurance via Aviva, brokered by Haggerty. How about that? So, shout out there. In terms of insurance, very, very cheap. Nick, no, was going to what? Oh, there is a point as well. If you are a member of the Mark 1 Focus Preservation Club, I am looking and inquiring to see whether it's feasible financially. It might depend on if the club charges membership fees in the future. I'm not ruling that out. It'd be a very small charge. Whether that the club could do like a club, it's a club insurance partnership where we get access to certain discounts and services for a fee, probably a one-off fee as a club. And that means that members could get a discount if they're a member of the club. So that, I'm not ruling that out. It's all in the firing line at the moment. I can't guarantee anything at the moment, but I'm looking at that. No, I was going to watch it after the live stream. You should, Nick. You should watch it. It's a good review. It's a good review. It's a good review, but there were some errors in that. And I'm very critical because when I do car reviews, I will not make mistakes. If I make a mistake, I cut it out. I don't make mistakes. Car reviews should be about facts. And you will have a subjective opinion, but it has to be mostly facts and subjective opinion. There were a few errors, but I'm being harsh on that. That's just me. Wayne, that's great news. Good. Darren, sorry. Top tip for anyone needing to change the serpentine belt on a 1.6 Zetec. Doable from the top. Use a 50mm ratchet spanner, pull it forward once and hold the belt, then do it a second time. I know what you mean by that. I actually have problems on the Rover with that sort of thing. You need, I personally recommend one thing. Go on eBay, and I recommend this. Now, if you don't have long spanners, go and buy one. Buy a long 15mm spanner, and that will sort the problem out. First off, you'll have enough leverage to go all the way, because sometimes you have to start from the far back and come forwards and find out you can't push it down anymore and take the tension off, and the belt won't slip off. So sometimes you have to do a ratchet spanner action, but I would recommend a long spanner to give you reach. That would be another way of doing it. Good advice though, Dan. Thank you for telling people that. So good advice. Tadas, I think the speedo is from the sensor, but temperature from ECU in a Mark 1. That's correct. Fuel for sure is separate circuit, and revs I don't know, to be honest. The revs work off a tachometer system. Basically, it's how many revolutions the engine does via the coil pack. The old-fashioned method was connecting to the coil pack to get you the RPMs, the revs. It's a tachometer-based system. It's basically the pulses from the HT leads in the system that give the tachometer its measurement. You are correct. The temperature gauge in any Mark 1 is not. There's no temperature sensor. There's a cylinder head temperature sensor. That sensor in the cylinder head, which is in the blind hole in all the engines, usually on the petrol it's between 2 and 3 spark plugs. In the diesel it's the same. It's in a blind hole in the middle of the cylinder head from the top. That sensor tells the ECU what the temperature, basically in resistance, what the temperature is, and the ECU will control the gauge and tell you what the temperature is. But the gauge, it's not a temperature gauge like it goes up and down with temperature. That's an analog sensor. So most cars like my 45, you've got a temperature, you've got a fan switch, and then you've got a temperature switch, 2 different switches. They're usually located by the thermostat housing. So the fan switch controls, basically the fan switch basically tells the computer to switch on the fans when it gets to a certain temp. The temperature switch is what directly via one wire, just one wire, controls the gauge. Because if you took the plug off that sensor and put that wire to earth, the gauge would go fully to the right. Now that system does not exist on a Mark 1, it's electronic. So that temperature sensor, that cylinder head, sometimes called the CHT, that electronically tells the ECU what's going on with the temperature, and the ECU will control the gauge. So there's not 2 sensors, there's just one. It's a good simple system, and that temperature sensor will also because it's telling the ECU what temperature the engine is. The ECU might think, oh, we've got to 105, we'll have to switch the fan on. The ECU controls the fans just in the same way on the Rover the ECU controls the fans, but the ECU relies off one sensor for the fan control and one sensor for the wire to the gauge. I've said that quite interestingly. But the gauge in a Mark 1 will sit halfway. It will sit halfway. If the gauge raises above halfway, you have got a problem with your Mark 1 cooling system. There's a fault. There's something going on, whether it's an airlock, or the antifreeze is not good enough, or you've got a leak and you've lost coolant, or your water pump is inefficient and the impellers have rusted. They only happen on the original pumps, and no Mark 1 should run on them original pumps. Every Mark 1 Focus should have replaced their water pumps by now, even on the diesel models. It's as simple as that. You just don't run the old pumps because they're rusty. They're too rusty by now. You should change it with a cam belt kit. And that's how the system works, really. It's very simple. If it goes into the red, that's serious. The engine will shut itself off. I've never known that on a Mark 1. The fans, if the gauge raises above halfway, the fans will be on all the time. You'll know about it. The fans will turn on when the gauge is halfway. In fact, I believe the temperature has to go above 120 degrees for that gauge to go above halfway. So that's a top tip. Just to look out for. Drew, hello buddy, how are you? I'm a 50-year-old fart with a Mark 1 2 litre and only pay 150 on regular comp cover with one named driver. General accident, a subcontractor of Aviva. Yeah, Aviva are good. High risk postcode. That's really good. That's really good. Again, age related factor. 30-year-old in an area of, well, I live in Birmingham. Car crime and everything. Trust me, we have, unfortunately, every day near me, and it really is alarming, it's not particularly with old cars. It's Fiestas, Toyota Aygos. Every morning on the local Facebook group where I live, there's always cars that have had the front ripped off. Literally, in the morning, some twats have basically stolen the bumper, the bonnet, And the wings for crash damage repair cars. We know where they're going, back to dodgy body shops. And the poor owner walks out the house this morning and just sees half their car missing from the front. And it happens every day. And I consider my insurance quotes to be very reasonable given that. It's bad. It's bad. So that's a very good quote. I will say that, even for a 50-plus-year-old. Wayne, after watching your video on injection replacement, I'm thinking to take on the job as needed. When I reset the new speedo, is taken off the negative all I need to do? Yeah, that's all you need to do. Yeah, that's all you need to do. That's absolutely fine. Why are you looking at injection replacement on petrol? The injectors never go wrong on the petrols. I've never known those injectors to go faulty. Never. It's such a good system. I can't tell you how good that system is. It's so simple. Ryan, hello buddy, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you with us. Why have only 4 people liked this video? You need to put the likes on, because the more likes, the more this video beams up to other people. So please like. Good guys. Right, that's my moan. Ryan, how long do you think my Mark 1 will last in the southeast Spain? No rain and ice. Indefinitely. Something is leaking though. Small patches on the driveway, but oil is not going down quickly. Excuse me. The only way of doing that is to put a piece of cardboard under your Focus, right? And leave it there overnight. And then pull it out and then have a look at where the drops are. Because you'll find out where it's coming from. And that's the only way of knowing what it is. That is as simple as that. You need to find out where it's coming from. So you need to observe where on the cardboard is it sitting. Tadas, my water pump was changed and I was lucky because the pump bolt did break in the block. If it does break, the repairman said it is GG for the engine. Yes, I've seen this a few times, but not with water pump bolts. Just be very careful. They're supposed to be torqued up to 8 Newton meters, and again, they should. People over tighten them. They're only tiny bolts. They're 8 mils, aren't they? The thermostat housing bolts. I knew someone with a 1.6 Focus many years ago, and he had to replace his thermostat housing because it had started leaking. They're not known for leaking on the 1.4s, 1.6s as much. It's usually the ZTEC 182 litres that do that frequently. Everyone does it. And unfortunately, he snapped one of the 4 bolts holding on the thermostat housing. And it didn't just snap, it snapped flush with the block. He had to scrap the entire car for that. And that was when it was Bangonomics. Now today, I would say you'd have to drill it out, but you'd have to remove the engine because there's no space. You'd have to take the radiator out. To get a drill square in there and to start drilling that bolt out, you've got to do it. And even then, you're going to get swarf in the cooling system. So that is something you really must be aware of. There are certain things that could kill an old car off, and that is a problem. So be very, very careful with them. That is a good top tip. Tell us, for those of you who are interested, my Focus insurance was around €65 per year. That's a dream to us in the UK. There must be lower insurance premium tax in Lithuania, I gather, because insurance premium tax in this country is there's actually, I think £30 of my insurance quote for the Focus was purely in tax. Wayne, I changed the plugs and leads as needed missing, but still got a miss. It's misfiring. It's not the injectors. It's not the injectors. You could put some Red X in because Red X works, but it's not the injectors. If it's missing, I would usually suggest it's coil packs that are at fault. It is one of the two, either HCs or coil packs. Definitely with when it's missing. There's not many other things that I could suggest it is. ECUs have known to go, but when they pack up, usually the coil pack gets no power. So if there's no power getting to the coil pack at all, then it's a dead ECU in that area. It would have to need to be just swapped over. But usually that's very rare. And as long as your car starts, then the ECU is fine. Missing is usually that coil pack. Ryan Davis, thanks, I'll try that. Good. Just give it a try and try the cardboard trick. It does work. Wayne, so thinking injection is definitely not. Nick, is your compression on all cylinders okay? Nothing to do with compression. Missing is not compression. It is a misfire, i.e. its ignition system. I wouldn't say it's overfueling or anything like that. It's ignition, and there are not many things it could be with a Mark 1. Just change the spark plugs, HT leads and coil packs, and the problem will go away. No problem, Wayne. No problem, my friend. Drew, IPT is only 5%, not like the regular VAT 20%. I thought it was 10%. Maybe I got that wrong. It is, of course, an insidious tax, as insurance and banks are not allowed to claim back the VAT like other businesses are allowed to. Yes, that's a good thing. That's a funny one, that one. Ryan, when will parts stop being available? Is it worth changing the alternator starter motor as a precaution if they aren't available in the future? No, don't do that. Really, do not start replacing things because of worry about lack of availability. In terms of genuine Mark 1 parts, Ford stopped making parts for Mark 1s in 2020. Every new genuine part that I've seen has date stamps to 2020. So around COVID, the pandemic, is when they stopped. There are certain things they continued making, like the Zetec alloy wheel trim centre caps. They're very available and they've been made up to a few years ago. The rest of it stopped years ago. There's plenty of aftermarket manufacturers and good ones, if that. There are plenty of parts around. It was a mass-produced car. There is no need to panic buy. There is no need to replace these things because what if? If you start going down that line, you're going to cost yourself a fortune. Alternator? Right, well, sometimes the alternators can throw a bearing issue, but if the bearing is good, I would say go and get a spare voltage regulator, which is the brush pack on the back. They're the ones that play up and pack up, and that's what will give you your alternator will pack up with that. You can get them on eBay. You do need to do a bit of research, but they are available. I'll need to look at the parts numbers. But there's some manufacturers that make voltage regulator brush packs for them, and they're very easy to change, I can tell you. You could refurb your starter motor at home. Bit of paint, and it'll look good as new. Starter motor, perfect. Starter motors never need replace. Honestly, the solenoids last forever. The gears they last forever. Just grease them up. What I would do is take the starter motor off and strip it down. There's not many parts to a starter motor, and they'll just need to be cleaned in a bath of degreaser, clean, re-grease, put back together, put a new brush pack in there. You can get the brush packs. They're very easy to obtain. Many Fords use the same starter motors for years. And then you'll know that the brushes will never wear out. The reason starter motors pack up is because the brushes wear out. It used to be a thing back in the day to replace the brushes in your alternator and starter motor. Now it's like, ooh, throw away. Garages are basically fitters. They're not repairers. Garages do not repair cars no more. They just fit parts. They're the most expensive fitters in history. I'm telling you how to repair what you've got. Wouldn't you like to try and keep the original? I mean, I think the original alternators are superb quality, and the starter motors. And I've rebuilt both of mine. And the starter motor on my Focus, I tell you what, after I rebuilt it, cleaned it out, new brush pack, the first flick of the key, it sounds so free and not stiff and stuck, because they get carved up and they get gummed up, and then it makes it harder for them to work, and it sucks more battery life, and it really does put a strain on everything. So you will find massive benefits of doing that to your starter motor, 100%. So those are two particular examples. Power steering pumps, they don't go wrong really unless you run them dry, because the switch has leaked and you've lost all the fluid and it's ran dry and the bearing's gone. You can get reconditioned ones, you can get brand new ones, and the aftermarket ones are fine. Tanas, I already noticed parts are a bit getting less in your country. I presume in Lithuania it's quite difficult to get parts, but then again, a lot of parts aftermarket for Mark 1 are made in Europe. It just depends whether you can get them delivered into Lithuania. But there's some in the UK. We haven't seen that at the moment. There is not one single part on a Mark 1 that I feel, oh, you need to get that before it goes. I really don't. I'll tell you something though, a really good recommendation. Genuine Ford Focus Mark 1 cloth floor mats. You get them as a set of 4, and they're still available from Ford for about £30 direct. Get some, because they're going to be very sought after in the future, because when they're gone, they're gone. Have you seen the prices of Escort and Fiesta 80s 90s Ford waffle mats? I tell you what, I'll never be able to afford a set for Ruby, the Fiesta. The waffle mats go for stupid money. If you got the rubber ones like my Mark 1 Focus, they're going to be stupid money in the future. I know how good mine are, and I'm protecting mine as good as possible, because you can't get them. You can barely get them. The cloth ones are more available, but I still think the cloth ones are very, very good quality. Actually, I've got some upstairs. If you want to show you, I'll show you. Just 2 seconds. I've got some right here. I'll just show you this. Oh, dear me. Right. Okay. So if you can see the screen, these are the mats. Can you see the parts number? Okay, that's the parts number. Okay. 1138951. Kit carpet, right-hand drive. You have to make sure it's right-hand drive or left-hand drive. But these are high-quality mats. This was an eBay purchase for about £15. Somebody bought them, never fitted them. Right, this is the driver's one. Oh, goodness me. These are going to be quite sought after in the future. Okay, so some of you might have one of these. I've got the clips. Now the problem is with this kit, I don't think it does come with the clips, but unfortunately I think the owner's lost the clips. Well, that's fine, because I've got the clips for the rubber ones in mine. Yes, you should have the clips with these. So unfortunately, the one £15 I can't quibble. But these are high quality. It's like this recycled material that you get on Mark 1 carpets. And you have a nice Ford logo, and this is your foot pad. This, if you listen to this, right, that's soft. That's quite a hard wearing heel pad, that is. They are very high, they are high quality. It's here, the production date on the back side, May 2001. No, May 2011, sorry. Yeah, May 2011. So all these are new old stock. You can't get them. You won't be able to get them for too much longer. So yeah, I don't know about the left-hand drive ones, especially for you, Tadas. Let me just put this back up. Right, okay, enough waffling. So there are some things that I really feel that carpets get some. Get a couple of sets. Be a bit greedy, because when they're gone, they're gone. I'm not saying that you should be greedy, but I don't need that carpet set. I bought it because I think, well, I've got some rubber mats, but these carpets are so dead. They're dead cheap. £30. What the heck? If they were £50 is roughly where I think they should be, but £30 cheap. The good brands disappearing. Yes, you will find a lot of that, unfortunately, in the future. Wayne, so you know I've had a few Mark 1s over the years. Like you, I'm a big fan. I do like the 3-door. I like the light back end. The old, the rear lights. Yes. The old project I have picked up is a black 1.6 ebony. Superb. Ebonies are very rare cars. There's not many of them left. They tend to get very scabby around the arches. That they are quite hard to find. Hopefully it's in reasonable good condition for you to work. I always say try and get as good a Mark 1 as you can. Even as a project, don't try and get the best project car you can. Because when the bodywork is reasonable, you've got something to work with. I feel that's a good way. There's nothing worse than buying a Mark 1 where the arches are shot, the sills are shot, and it just looks a mess. And I'm afraid there's too many of them that look like that, unfortunately. Wayne, happy to have found you. You too, buddy. You too. I'm glad to share the enthusiasm, and this is what it's all about, sharing the love. And it's a lovely community that we're building at the moment, and long may it continue. Tadas, starters maybe not need to change them in the petrol, in the diesel. I need to again. Same problem. The Bendix plays up. The starter engages, then the Bendix disintegrates, but the motor still spins. The Bendix gears, they actually brake. They're very strong gears. So the diesel puts a bit more strain on them. That's very unusual. I've not heard of that. Oh, goodness me. Okay, that's something to be aware about. I do have a spare starter somewhere with bits and internal pieces. Drew, when I worked in insurance, the IPT was 5%. You are correct, it is now 12%. I thought it was around that. I didn't know. I thought it was, or even 20%. Now I think it's. I don't know actually, because I paid about 230. 30. So I'm sure it said on the insurance payment that, because I pay it all in one go, £230. But £30 of that was IPT, and I'm thinking, well, that smacks of around 10% ish. Oh yes, it is insidious. I know what you mean. Vevos, Furious Driving did good, highlighting the significance of the Mark 1 and how special it is, even if it is seen as ordinary. That's the perception. The Mark 1's biggest asset, I mean, the reliability of these things is unreal. It is the most common car for its age, but unfortunately its biggest plus point is also its biggest downside, because there are so many of them left. Unfortunately, tales of members telling me when they take that. I mean, I had a member saying he's got a Mark 1, a beautiful Mark 1 RS, and he has to fight to get into shows because he gets people saying, oh, it's too young. Some people have been told, I see that at a supermarket car park. There were some comments at the Festival of the Unexceptional, sadly, to that effect. And I just think, well, actually, what year are you living in? Are you living in 2022 or 2024? Because yes, that was a couple of years ago, but not now. Not now. I don't know. I don't see them in supermarket car parks. Maybe it's just where I live, but I think you're living in cuckoo land. And that's why they're ordinary, because people still see them as everyday cars. I think it will take a few years for people to actually cotton on, whoa, hold on, where have all these gone? Because it's been a part of daily life. Simple as that. But the part about the engines was not very good, lacking research. Yes, unfortunately, confusing all the engines as Z-Tex was a bit of a funny one, because all the engines are completely different. But I think it's an obvious mistake to make, because Ford love to confuse people. I just don't know why Ford just didn't have a brand name for their engines. So the Ford EcoBoost engine has never been known as anything other than Ford EcoBoost. It says it on the front. EcoBoost, right? So why do they call the Ford Sigma the Ford Zetec SE? Why? Just call it Ford Sigma on the can cover. That's what I'd like to do. I'd love to. I tell you what I'd like to do is get a rocker cover off the Zetec SE, wipe off the lettering, and have Ford Sigma written on the top, because that would be what it should be called, because that's what it is. And what they've done is they tried to make people think it was a Zetec, because I think what the problem was, the Zetec had such a good reputation since it was launched that Ford wanted to install that sort of Zetec reputation into the smaller Sigma when it was launched in the Mark IV Fiesta. And I think that's why they called it Zetec, but I don't know what SE stands for. I really don't. I thought it was like small edition, like a small edition of the Zetec, but it's not. It's two different engines. So I do find things like irritating. The thing for me that I was a bit, that's definitely wrong, was it was a brilliant video, and there were so many things he got right. I will point that out. I won't niggle pick because he got so many things right. But the thing that he got wrong that was a bit irritating was he said that the Mark 1 was a world car. It wasn't a world car. It was a European car. It was designed as a European car that supposedly Ford knew that they could sell in North America. To be sold in North America, the Mark 1s had to be adapted so much in the bumper department and the crash department. You see where the indicators are? They're very different. They're very weird, but and the engines are completely different. You know what I mean? They are different cars. They're really good. They're interesting. North American Focuses are very interesting, and I'd love to get my hands on one to review one. I think that's definitely going to be on the cards in the future, because it will be a very nice episode. But it's not a world car. It was a European car that supposedly they would to sell in North America. The Mark II Focus built on that foundation, but again was a European car. The first world car was the Mark III Focus. The Mark III Focus was designed to be a car that could be sold in markets across the world with very, very few changes. And that's why Mark III Focus feels like it's tried to tick so many boxes, it's lost a bit of its identity. And I do think that the Mark III Focus lost a bit of that Europeanness about it because it tried to be a car for every market. So that's a big, that wasn't right. And I believe that's come off Wikipedia. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that information came straight off Wikipedia. I can't prove anything, but it's just a theory. Wikipedia, the place of truth. Tadas, or maybe a starter dirty. It could just need a clean. It could do. They do get gummed up. I've never seen those mats. Can I go to the dealer and ask they should have? Try. You can try. I don't have the parts for the left-hand drive ones. Unfortunately, I've only got that's the part for the right-hand drive ones, but they are available. So please ask. Please ask. And so you've got the parts number for the right-hand drive one. So if you've got that parts number, go to the dealer and say, I've got the parts number for the right-hand drive, but I need the left-hand drive. Obviously, the parts number will be very close to that one. It'll be very close. The Ford finish codes are very close where you've got similar items. Diesel starter is 2.2 kilowatts. Oh, that's a lot. That is a lot. I thought the starter on the CVH was quite big and fat, and that's a 1.2 kilowatt, and it's a big chunky thing. When you turn the key, you know that the car is spinning. It will give a crash. One thing I miss about classic cars back in the day is that when you started it, you knew it was starting. It was a good old clunk of the starter on that first turn. The Bendix does not disintegrate, but it goes backwards and leaves the motor spinning, but the engine not. So key action again to start the car. That's interesting. I don't know what's going on there, but it needs to be disassembled. That's not right. I've seen a Sigma in a Mark II with a Volvo cover. Oh, dearie me, that is terrible. Actually, what's hilarious is that I've seen some of the comments on that video, and there was some deluded comments. There are some really, really deluded people out there. I'm not going to name comments, but um, there was some really shocking comments. Most comments are brilliant. Most people have got only good things to say, but some people, I mean, somebody said that there are no redeeming features on a Mark 1 Focus, and the Zeta engine, he got that wrong. It was never called a Zeta, it's called a Zetec engine. That was the original name, but they changed it quickly in the Mondeo when it was launched in '92. The Zetec engine was gutless. What planet is he on? Is he on drugs? Oh, dearie me. Okay. Maybe, fair play, probably had a shocking example, but to say a Mark 1 Focus has no redeeming features, words fail me. Ryan Davis, how bigger than 15-inch wheels affect 1.6 three-door petrol cars? Is bigger better for the handling? I suppose the suspension needs change after 20 years. Are they brand new? Most Mark 1s need their front and rear suspension looking at, especially the rear suspension. You're not going to get quality ownership from a Mark 1 if you are working on tired suspension. The original suspension, they're all shot. The train arm bushes will be cracked and separating from the metal bracket. The bushes and the arms will be gone. The rear arms will be rusty and quite dangerous because they can snap and dig into the road. You don't want that happening. The anti-roll bar bushes are usually knackered. The springs are saggy and rusty and corroded, and the shock absorbers can sometimes leak, but they are very, very strong units, I'll put it that way. There's lots of parts out there. You can rebuild your Mark 1 rear suspension from scratch. There's that many parts out there from different manufacturers. Lemforder and Febby Bilstein are the two brands I go for when rebuilding the suspension. Lemforder, who make parts of Ford, believe it or not, and Ford put their badge on. Suspension parts, that is. And Febby Bilstein are very good, especially bushes. Train arm bushes as well. But no, bigger wheels. I fitted ST170 wheels to my Focus years ago with 215 45 17s. And I didn't feel a difference compared to the 16s that I've got now, all the 15s that I had before that. No difference. Very minimal. The difference will be there'll be a bit more drag, so your MPG might be affected, but you won't notice it. All USA Focus Mark 1s were 2 litre. There were 2.3s, Drew, I'm sure. 2.3s. The 2 litre was called Split Port 2000, SP2000, and it was basically a CVH. The last version of the CVH in existence, because I know the Americans had the 1.9 CVHs, which is why Ford opted to replace the Pinto with the 1.8 CVH. Didn't quite work out. 1.8 CVHs are not particularly good. And they chucked it in the Sierra. In fact, the Sierra in the Christmas video, the white one, that's got the 1.8 CVH, and they are big lumps, aren't they? But that engine developed, and they came up with a 2 litre split port injection. They had to do a bit of Siamesing, I believe, and to adapt to injection, multi-point fuel injection was difficult. We had a version of the CVH over here called the PTE, which was fitted to the Mark III Fiesta SI. That was a fully blown, full multi-point injection version of the CVH. And that was the basis of what the SP2000 on the 2 litre North American Focuses are. Good engines. Yeah. It's quite ironic actually, because my Fiesta Mark III has got an engine with the CVH that in the North American Focus would have been commonly coupled to the 4-speed automatic in my Focus Mark 1, right? The Focus Mark 1, the Ford Sigma engine, in Fiesta Mark 4s, they were mainly available as the 1.4 litre version with an option of being coupled to the CTX, which is in my Fiesta Mark III. So quite ironically, there's a lot of mixing going on here. The Fiesta, the Focus, basically could swap their engine and gearboxes over, and they were on different cars later on. Quite fascinating. Bit of a mix. So, Tadas, I noticed... Oh, sorry. They had a crappy 8 valve from their Mexico factory for most of them, rather than the ZTEC. That was the... yes. Yeah, because the 8 valve, it's the CVH was 8 valve still. Even though they upped it to 2 litres, it was still 8 valve. They weren't crappy. They just weren't as good as ZTEC. The CVH, I think, is a good engine that needed looking after. They weren't particularly well made, but the design was good. The breathing system was not very good. That's the worst bit about them. You do have to make sure they're not blocked. My experience of the CVH with the Mark III Fiesta is quite interesting. And I do need to own a Ford with a ZTEC engine, because I haven't owned one. So I've had a CVH, I've had a Sigma, but I need to own a ZTEC in between. I need to see how they perform. I'm sure they're just as good as Sigmas, even better. They tend to be more robust apparently than Sigmas, but I think Sigmas are just as good. But the CVH for me was a learning curve for Ford. It was a massive step forwards versus the Kent Crossflow and the HCS. And it was meant to replace that engine, and supposedly only lasted 2 years longer than the Kent engine. But it was a stepping stone. Ford learnt a lot of things from that engine, and they took a lot of things that from the CVH into the ZTEC development. So, you know, it was a stepping stone, wasn't it? And that's quite important in many car respects. Tadas, I noticed on the potholes that the rear is a bit wiggly. It's a bit left, right, left, not big. Could be shocks going or body shock mounts rusting out. Suspension done, nothing loose. That is your train arm bushes, my friend. When was the last time you had them done? Wandering like that is the biggest symptom of train arm bushes that are tired or completely shot. Is you're taking a corner and the back end feels a bit loose and wandering. It doesn't matter whether you've had new springs, new rear arms, new control arms. You can have the whole lot, but if your train arm bushes are knackered, you will get wandering. Those bushes make and break a Mark 1 rear suspension. They really do. There's a lot of stress that goes through them, and they can perish quite quickly. I've noticed mine have been on the car 4 years, the Febby ones that I fitted, and there's just signs they're starting to crack. There is a tip for prolonging them. What you do is, where you've got the cracks in the rubber, you put RTV silicone in them, because what happens is water will get into that crack and make the crack bigger. That's what happens to them. So you put RTV silicone over the cracks to preserve them for longer. But ideally they need to come out again. So you're going to have to disconnect the control arms, drop the train arm, and you will be able to get there's a bush tool to wind them back in and out. I've done it. It's simply done. You can do it in situ. You don't need to drop it. I heard somebody say that on a forum the other day, that you need to drop the suspension to change the bushes. And here's a mechanic. You see, this is where people go wrong all the time. Mechanics, yeah, they work on these things all the time, but they can get it wrong. Excuse me. You can do it in situ. The service said nothing in the suspension. Also, no noises. Yeah, the train arm is which one? Now, the train arm bush is the one where you've got those two. The train arms are what they call the control blades. They are very thin. They go forwards, and you've got the bush that mounts at the end of them, and it bolts to the car. Okay, at the back of the. You look at where the rear sills are, right? It just inwards is where the bush is. Suspension was done 2 years ago. We don't have good roads. I think it's gone. I think the bushes are gone. I wouldn't suspect anything else. I wouldn't say the springs are the cause of that either. So just something to be aware of. I am going to end this live stream in about 20 minutes, so I want to keep it to about an hour and a half. But in the meantime, come up with some comments, because I've got to the bottom of the comments. I'll be back I need some water. Throat. Oh, right. Tangle it. Okay. Right. Next one. Shocks and Springs still original. Yeah, it's not them. Yeah, just check it out. Hello, Luke. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the live stream. We're about an hour in. I'm probably going to shut shop in 20 minutes because I've got an early start tomorrow morning. Just thought I'd do something quite spontaneous. Again, I'd say I apologise for the spontaneity of these live streams, but I don't really like planning live streams because I have to do things very spontaneously, and that includes making videos. I do plan days to make certain videos, but a lot of the time I go with the flow. So yeah, it's just the same. Drew, water intake and outtake. Sorry. The bane of all live streamers. You can say that again. I've been here for about 15 minutes. Oh, good. It's nice that you've been with us for a while. Hope your focus is doing well, Luke. Hope there's no problems with it. Sorry, tell us. Also, question: would you like work a bit on my car that weekend? Small things there, no push to do something. Yes, absolutely. I can't see why not. It just depends on time. I have been asked by a lot of people to work on their Mark 1s. Unfortunately, there's only one of me. I can't multiply Andrews. If I could multiply Andrews, then I'm pretty sure that I'd be going out to every single one of them and helping every single one of them, because that's just me. Because I just like working on them, you know. I do like them. And it's not bravado. What I do on this channel is not bravado. It's not fake. And it's not for personal gain, really. No, it isn't. It's all about building a lovely community and getting to meet people and see their lovely cars, because at the end of the day, we're all car people, and that's what we like, cars. And it just happens we meet lovely people at the same time. Anyway, so yeah, I can sort that out. Not a problem. We'll sort that out near the time. So no problem. News. Yeah, Nick, I hope you're still watching this. You don't mind me telling people the news about your Focus. Nick's Jazabella, the star of this channel, has gone to another home. The car has been sold very cheap money, because the car probably, in all fairness, as discussed, is at the end of its life. We've done a lot of work to the car to keep it going. The videos have been great. I enjoyed working on the car. Brilliant. I'm half there, Nick, at the moment. And Nick is trying to acquire another Mark 1. And fingers crossed that'll be on the channel very soon. But we've agreed that the diesel Focus is the best one of whatever car he's going to get. And the diesel is the car that I'm going to rebuild the suspension on. That will be around June, but it might not go out to July. But we'll see. It's a very solid car. That £400 pepper red diesel. It just needs some paint on the roof and the bonnet. That's it. And it needs to be protected against rust. So lanyard guard is a must, because it's just too good on the sills and the arches. It really is. A Mark 1 Focus without those issues, I would argue, is a £1,500 car automatically, no MOT or not. And that's how serious I think that if you're looking for a Mark 1, you've got to buy the best you can. But the good thing is, you know where to look. If you're viewing a Mark 1, you know exactly where you need to look. Other people don't. You could be buying an absolute bargain. My advice is to really, if you're going to view a Mark 1, you look at the sills, and if they look good, fantastic. And then you open the boot. and hopefully the owner's not overseeing you as you look in the boot, and you pull the carpets back, and hopefully you're going to see, fingers crossed, a relatively solid car. Sometimes you won't, but if it is solid, don't tell them that. Oh no, this car's absolutely rotten, but I'll still take it off your hands. Top tip, do not tell people their car is good, because often people are selling cars. Well, I'm not being deceptive, but come on, you're not exactly going to tell the person, yeah, this is a fantastic car, it's so solid, because you're just costing yourself money. And that's the way I buy cars. It's called the Mike Brewer method. You know, the method where you go up to a car, pick all the holes in it, and then get them to come down on the asking price. Works, doesn't it? Works for him. Are xenon headlights worth it on Mark 1s? No, you need the electrics. Look, there's a lot of electrical conversion. You've got to mess with the wiring a lot to get xenon headlights. If you haven't got them, don't worry about it. If you have got them, they're fantastic. They are fantastic headlights, but really, honestly, don't go for conversions, because there's a lot. I can't tell you where to begin personally, but you're going to need to look at a lot of wiring, because the wiring loom's a bit different, and it's a faff. Somebody else can tell you a bit more than me, but if you haven't got xenons, it's not worth your time. Keep it the way it is, but please don't fit LEDs. There's nothing worse than that. They're not designed for them. Luke, not been on the road since late September. Dry stored, not been any salt. It has no rot. Want to keep it that way. Good. Good. Same here. Tadas, there are small things. For example, I removed one wiper, but the passenger side, impossible. What you need to do is, there's a few techniques. The main one I've found is by trying, just keep the nut on the end. You have to have something soft against the windscreen. Bubble wrap, blankets, anything, because you know you're going to need it. You get a pry bar, gently leering away. What you do, you leer with the pry bar at the end of the wiper spindle, get your hammer and bang the wiper, and it should crack off, and it will literally spit off, it will jump. Hopefully it won't do the paintwork any damage, because it will spit up and it might hit the bonnet, or it will go somewhere. So you need to protect the area with as much soft material as possible. Sponges, I don't care what you've got, you do need to do it that way, and it will come off. They're a bit of a pain, but they will come off. Drew, I've noticed one of my Mark 1 headlights is clouding up. Also, the aerial is rotting. Oh gosh, rotting. They do get a bit mouldy. You can replace the aerial by just unscrewing it off easily. Rotting. Well, hopefully that's not the mount. The base that is going. I mean, you can get the base as well. It's no big deal. But you have to unscrew it from the top side. So you have to take the interior switch out. There should be a bolt to take out the mounting. The headlights clouding up. Unfortunately, the seals are gone in your headlight. The best bet is to get a better one, because there's not many Mark 1 headlights that do that. But if they do, my advice is to get shot. Don't waste any time on that. Get a second-hand one. Okay, it'll be the better in the long run. Luke, I need new arms on mine. Garage can't get the bolts loose, and say might need to get something else. Yeah, all the bolts are seized in the bushes. I'm going to try and get a heat induction tool for this job, particularly on Nick's car. They work really well, these heat induction tools. There's plenty on eBay, and I'm willing to take a chance at, I think they're quite expensive, about 180, but the amount of old bolts that I have to encounter. Rover 45s are no different. All the bolts seize in them, in the rear arms, and the rear arms on the 45 are cast iron, not steel. So you can imagine the problems they're getting them bolts out. The only other way of doing it is cutting the bolts out and banging them out. It's the only way of doing it. That's the reality. You've got to cut the welded studs off as well. I hope the garage does work that one out, because they should be able to do that. Plenty of them have had it done. There's no exception, but it won't be cheap. I'll put it that way. You're looking at a £500 bill, maybe 600. That's the only problem with that, unfortunately. But it will be amazing when it's done. Well worth the money. Nick, is there anything I can do with the paint, or is it best to go to a body shop? Go to the body shop, Nick. Go to the body shop. It will never last and never look good. I mean, if you want it to look better than what it's looking now, you can do a rattle job, but you'll need to prep it, clean it. You've got to wait for the right conditions as well. It needs to be dry. It needs to be basically sunny. You've got to sand it back to a good key. Clean it with an inch of its life, the roof and the bonnet, and then spray up. You've got to mask up everywhere and spray up with rattle cans. It won't look great. May not be worth the time. I think for the time, you go to a body shop. I think you're looking at about £600 for both panels to be professionally done and blended. But it's such a good car, I argue. I mean, you won't want to do this now, but in the long run, once the suspension's done and then we've covered a few of the niggles, you'll probably want to look at the paintwork, because there's not much that won't make that an amazing Mark 1. That's how rare a £400 Mark 1 in that condition, they don't exist. They really don't exist, and you're one of the few lucky ones, so take advantage of that a lot. Vevos, I would like to know more about the two factories the Mark 1 was produced at, if you know. How many Spanish and how many German? How does the quality compare? Oh, right. So, basically, oh, God, now I've forgot this at the top of my head. I keep forgetting now. So, there's two factories, Valencia and Saint-Louis. Saint-Louis in Germany, Valencia in Spain. Okay? My three-door Focus, along with, I believe, the saloon or the estate, I can't remember. I've got a feeling it was the saloon. The three doors and the saloons, the four-door saloons, were built in Saint-Louis. The five doors and the estates were built in Valencia. I'm pretty sure it was the estates. I'm sure it was one or the other, but I'm pretty sure I've got that right. I think I've felt this for quite some time. Why do five-door Focuses and estates have such a problem with rotten doors? Have you seen the bottoms of the doors? They go so badly, it's untrue. They're just as bad as Austin Maestros and Montegos and Metros. They were dreadful for going at the bottom of the doors. They used to do it willy-nilly. They were made of poor steel. Escorts used to do the same thing, probably just as bad. And these cars are nowhere near as good. Definitely the Spanish were going to sleep with that. There was something they were doing wrong. The three doors, I don't think the three doors and saloons are that good in terms of the arches and the sills. I think they're all just as bad as each other. But there's definitely a good theory that the saloon cars and the three-door cars do not suffer from rotten doors. Mine doesn't have a touch of it at the bottom, never has done. Not a hint. So that is a theory I have, that the Saint-Louis cars might have been better prepped in a few areas. But there isn't much in it. Not much. And my three-door rusts as badly as any other. It's just that I've stayed on top of it over many years. So, yeah, they don't have rotten bottom doors, but they still rust in every other area. So there's not much quality, I can tell you. I can't tell you how many was produced, though, at each. I can't tell you that figure. Nobody knows that. Well, Ford know that, but I'm not... Fortunately, I haven't come across that information. Drew Dastardly, the Mike Brewer method. You are not wrong. He gets so much hate. Yeah, he does, but he works, doesn't it? Works for him. And well, I'm pretty sure I could do the amount of cars he has, the man cave, the life, he just has that sort of work ethic. He's definitely not somebody who sits around and puts his feet up and watches a bit of telly. He's always out and about. He lives and breathes cars. No matter if you hate him or like him, or think that he was a bit of an idiot towards Ed China. Personally, I think the fallout with Ed China was a bit of both. I think Ed China's just as bad, personally. I think both of them got big-headed and thought that they were actually bigger than the show. Turns out they probably were, but that doesn't make a difference, does it? So, He does get a bit of more hate than he should, but he's a dealer, and you can learn a few things from him. Tell us, driver's side are removed with the puller and the impact gun. If it was that bad, the passenger has no space for the puller. Oh yes, of course. Tired of banging, pull with the... Yeah. Try and give it a try, what I've suggested. Might work. Grant, hello buddy. Could you use Tiger Seal on the rear axle bushes to make them stronger? Instead of RTV silicone? Not really. Well, if it's flexible enough, yes, but I prefer RTV silicone just to cover the cracks in. It just gives them a bit of flexibility and make sure the water, because when the cracks form in those bushes, water gets in and it makes it so worse. It's whether Tiger Seal has good properties. I'm not sure about that one. Tadas, yes, my estate, the doors are rusting. There you go, you see. It's what I said. There's a few oddities that I've found that are definitely obvious with Mark 1s at this age. So, a bit of a funny one, that. Right, if anybody else has got anything to say, I just want to, I might wrap this up in a little bit, but yeah, I might just introduce you to the flag. I'll just point you upstairs so you can see the complete flag, because this is, my flat is 3.4 metres tall, because it's an old Victorian house and I live on the ground floor. 3.4 metres high, and this only just touches the ceiling. There we go. Right, managed to get the badge done. All right, there we go. Right, back down to earth. There we go. Just so you know what the top bit of it looks like, not just the bottom bit, eh? Sorry, my video is a bit delayed here. I can just see what I've just done there. Anyway. Ooh, saw it on Facebook, looks nice. It's good. It's expensive though. Cost a lot of money, that did. These are not cheap. These are not cheap. So this will be a stand. The thing is, the stand that they gave with these, you can have the ones that you drive onto. So there's like two metal legs and you drive the car on and then it won't go anywhere. But this base is like a water base. I think it takes about 20 litres. That's going to be a lot of water I'll be carrying. I suppose I could just get water from the venue and fill it up. Yeah, expensive. But I'm hoping to have two of them. So as I say, it's a proper club. Not a group, it's a club. I intend for it to run as such. Anyway, Grant, yes, my estate doors don't have any rusting, funny enough, and it's 2002, 90,000 miles. Keep it that way. Hope it stays that way. Not all like that, because it depends on how it's been cleaned. Tell us, well, to the defence of mine, I live probably in the rustiest country in the world, so no wonder it does rust. True, true. However, I don't know. I think the UK is just as bad in some areas. Go to Wales. Yeah. Blimey, won't miss you in the meets then. No, you won't, because no, you certainly won't actually. Not with this thing. There was an option to have a 4.1 metre tall flag, but it was £40 more. And I'm thinking, well, the height of a Focus is probably halfway up that flag. And I'm thinking, why would you want a flag 4.1 metres tall? Might as well just have 10 metres and just have it as a... we might as well get an aeroplane to have a banner across and oh look, that's that. I don't know. I want two of them personally. I do want two of them, but they do cost a lot of money. So I might have to do some crowdfunding on the group, because the merchandise has dried up a little bit, because most people have got stickers, they've got key rings. Somebody said about shirts, and I can do coasters actually. I've got one that's been sent. So this is yeah, this is like a template. But I'm going to get this image is not good enough. It's too blurred. If you look at it, it's quite blurred. I wasn't happy, so I'm going to send them a sort of uprated picture where it's not pixelated. So coasters, maybe mugs, Yes, I could do that, but I'd have to do it at shows because of the cost of postage and all that. I don't go in for t-shirts and hoodies unless people keep telling me about that. I might do actually, but you never know. But as long as people in the group can see that all the profits from all the merchandise, they're not going in my pocket. I'm not pocketing this. It's going straight here. In fact, most of the profits have gone onto this flag alone. So I just want to make sure that people are aware. And I believe also the my YouTube channel stickers, the money's gone to this as well. So it is, as long as people are aware that I'm not, putting money in my pockets here. This is going straight back into the club. Evening, guys. Hello, and hello, buddy. How are you? Rusty Door video on your channel. That's the point where I found you, Andrew. Which one was it? That's interesting. I can't remember that one. Well, I've focused on Rusty Doors before. You actually sleep in a bunk bed flat in order to pay for your cars. Much respect. Yeah, pretty much. Where I live is quite an expensive area. And yeah, I'm very fortunate to live where I live, put it that way. Yeah, I don't need any more space. I don't. This is the thing when people have gigantic flats and there's only one person living in it. I just think flats are expensive now, and I just think I'd rather just have a tiny little property, and yeah, that's me. That's me. I have more assets on the driveway than in here. Bit of an imbalance, don't you think? But I prefer to be honest about my life. Taras, I will buy sticker. Oh, actually upstairs. Oh, that's a mezzanine. That's a mezzanine. I don't actually sleep up there now. The mezzanine is like, it's really cool because the ceiling is so high. The landlord built the mezzanine above my bathroom and my kitchen. It's quite interesting actually. It's a bit tight, but I use it as storage for a lot of bits, car bits. I will buy the sticker next month, and if there will be a key yes, of course. Yes, one of these. Yeah, they're good. I've got a load of them coming, so there's plenty of them to come, so don't worry about that. Grant, I love the idea of you being in this kind of ambassador for the Mark 1 Focus and keeping the love alive. Good on you, buddy. I think I am a little bit. I just think of myself as an enthusiast that just started something that I don't know where it's going. But yeah, I like to be an ambassador for the car. It's just a pity that and a real shame that Richard Parry Jones is no longer with us, because he's the first person I'd try and contact. One, I would love to have done an interview with the fella, because I'm sure you would have liked that as well. And two, I would have definitely got him involved in the club in some capacity, like some sort of an ambassador, the ultimate ambassador, because the fella, saw this car from start to finish, and his career was utterly amazing. The cars he helped design, sort of mind of a man. Richard Parry Jones, for me, I'd put him up there with people like Sir Alec Izagonis, the Mini, the creator of the Mini. There's a few in that category, but only a few. Luke, I will need another sticker from the front. That's okay, no problem. I'll sort you out, no problem. Just give me a message and I'll sort you out, whether it's an email or whatever, and I'll message you. Just, you need to remind me. I need to buy one Ford Group. Sorry, this has become a Mark 1 Preservation Group meeting now, so I think I should probably do this. I should probably do this specifically, but anyway, I need to buy one Ford Group, and the other is a YouTube group stickers. Yeah, don't worry about that. I'll sort you out. Every single person that buys stickers goes towards another one of these. So thank you so much if you do, because every few pounds is important. It really is. I don't want to go down the line of like a GoFundMe. I might do that. I might just suggest people, like, if you want, this is the flag that's been made. I want to have another one for the first meet. If you want to put 2p in or a couple of quid, then that will be amazing. But I don't want to do things that way, because I'd like to give members something like a sticker or a key ring, and I get something for this. Do you understand? So it's a two-way street. My girlfriend said she would be buying the mug if there was so maybe more stuff you can add to the shop. Perfect, no problem. Yes. The only problem with mugs, and you might miss this because I won't have anything sorted at this moment, mugs, I don't want to do the postage for them, because merchandise is a full-time job, and I can only just cope with what I'm doing at the moment, stickers and key rings. I can probably do coasters as well, easy. I can do that, but it's very low maintenance. When it goes into, like, I need boxes, I need packaging, and then I need to go to the post office to keep doing this, it's difficult. It's really difficult, which is why I like stickers and key rings, because the post box is outside my door, literally. Literally. So it might be shows. So it might be, if you want a mug, a t-shirt, a hoodie, something else that's bulky, you're going to have to come to a show and buy it off me. So Grant, thank you so much for £5. I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you so much. I might even put that £5 to one of these. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. I don't ask for any money on these things, and it's really appreciative when anybody sends me any money. So thank you so much. Someone sent. I was watching Furious Driving's video of the Mark 1 Focus this afternoon. Somebody gave him £50. I was like, what? £50? Goodness me, nobody's done that with any of my videos. Lucky sod. No worries at all. Nice parking on it with people who love it too. Great. Well, it looks like there's going to be about 30 Focus Mark 1s at the first meet in May. 30 have confirmed they're going. There might be a few dropouts naturally. I think there always is. But there's about 15 people who say they could go. So potentially we're looking at 35 to 40 focuses. I can't believe that there's going to be that many. There's a risk because there's about 200 spaces at this place. And to book the venue out, I think you would need that many cars. So I think in 12 to 2 years time we'll be able to book venues out like the place we're going to. So it is fine. I'll pick it up in a place. Good, no problem. I have everything sorted for you, but in terms of merchandise, I don't think anything like mugs and t-shirts will happen for another 12 months. Just saying. We'll see how things at work. If it's a case that I do decide to have mugs made, then I'm sure I could ship it to you personally in Lithuania. It'd just be the postage. We'd have to agree on the postage for that. Grant, that will be going towards the banner 100%. I'll make a note on my records because I want to know how much money is going into the club account. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Luke, are you a member of the club? Because you should know the date of that. If you're not a member of this club, the Mark 1 Preservation Club, go on Facebook and join if you've not joined, because it will be under the events section. Okay, so you'll find all the details there. It's in May, but I won't say anything else. Just if you can join the group, that will be good. Those of you who haven't joined the group, think about it, because if you have a Mark 1 Focus that's pretty original or hasn't got many modifications, I'm really funny like that, because I just think that with Focuses, my motivation is the ones that are not messed with. Look, modified Mark 1s have their own niche, they have their own skill set, people spend thousands of pounds on them and love them for what they are. Full credit to what they do. Some people have rebuilt their Mark 1s, they've modified them in memory of a long lost mom, dad, partner, brother. Fair play. That's your car. But in my group, there's only standard original ones and very few modifications, because that's what I believe in with Mark ones. Not everyone's gonna agree to that, but there has to be a line drawn somewhere, and I hope that I can draw a nice line there. So if you have one that is in that category, as long as lowering Mark ones is not a thing, coilovers no, but cat back systems, I've done that. I've thrown it in the bin, and I just don't like it now. That's just me. So I do think that the future of Mark ones is going to be non-messed about examples. The example we've seen on Furious Driving's Focus review, Darren's lovely gear, which is in pretty good condition. There's a lot of paint work done on it, bodywork. And it looks very tidy in the pictures. That is exactly the kind of Mark 1 we have on the group. However, that car has Recaro seats from an ST170. They are very sought after. And a lot of Mark 1s have had them fitted over the years. The only problem with doing it is if you haven't got the electrics for the electric seat adjustment, make sure the seat is in the lowest position when you buy the seats out of the ST170 that it came from, because otherwise you're going to have to find somebody to plug it into a Mark 1 to lower the seat down, because you'll never be able to adjust the height of it unless you can wire it into your current Focus. So you got to think about things like that, just to be aware. I'm not sure whether the electrics would be on the gear models. It's possible though. I've got a feeling I might be wrong about that. But again, that car is a member. It's been a member of the group for ages. And it's a perfect example. It's not completely stock. It's got Recaro seats in it. But that's only one modification. That's just one. That's it. Nothing else. So when I say modifications, just a couple of them. Nothing too much. I am still not 100% sure, but likely will be there. Fingers crossed, Tadas. So just keep me informed about that. I will look now. Perfect. I can't believe you haven't joined, Luke. So for those of you who are watching this, if you're, to start off with the group, I said it's for the UK only, but that's very short-sighted of me. So I've stopped the UK bit. It is the Ford Focus Mark 1 Preservation Club. It is open to people in America, in Europe, wherever there is a Mark 1. If it is in pretty standard condition, we want to know about it and we want to welcome you as a member. And it is free to join. I don't see there's no membership costs. There might be in the future. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I think if the group grows, then I think there could be a need for maybe a couple of pounds a year or something stupidly low. Because if you think about it, if there's like 1,000 members and you all paid £3 a year, that's £3,000. That will pay for show venues. That will pay for nice stuff. Whatever. I'll think about it. But that's the point. Even if it's £1 a year, you know what I mean? So that's the way I see it. But I don't intend to make people pay for what I essentially think should be free, because knowledge is power, and I believe that's the way it should be. So the group is open to anyone with a Mark 1 Focus, Europe, America, UK, whatever. So as long as it meets that criteria, then it's welcome to join the group. And I am not going to rule out in the future, probably in a couple of years, some sort of organised group trip abroad in Europe. I fancy doing either the ferry or the Channel Tunnel, probably the ferry, and then having probably a bit of a drive in France, at least, with people who can probably come on the trip with me. That will be interesting, and a trip of a lifetime. And it's important to use these cars while they can still be driven in most of Europe, apart from the cities. Particularly France, I believe, are quite stringent over their clean air zones, etc., and old cars. Ekas, sorry, excuse me, froze. Ekas, I just joined the live. Sorry, where can I apply to join the club? You can join as long as you've got a standard Mark 1 in relatively. Just answer the group questions. It's the Ford Focus Mark 1 Preservation Club. Okay? And as long as you've got a relatively stock car, you are welcome. And that is all that we require. That is it. As I say, originally it was just for the UK, but I think it's going to be such a niche to do that. And it's quite, it's not, I think it's a bit disrespectful to people like yourself, Tadas, who you're travelling a long way to come to this meet. And I think the same sort of, we should hold everybody in the same regard. So that's why I've changed my mind about that, and I'm very pleased about that. Anyway, with diesels, good luck in the cities already. That is a problem. It's a problem over here now. Unfortunately, the old car, we want old cars off the road, is converging on our cars. The taxes are going up. Diesels are not welcome generically. Petrols are feeling the pinch. And now apparently there's these stupid conspiracy theories that the EU is going to stop cars over 15 years of old being repaired. Absolute rubbish. I've never heard so much rubbish in all my life. In fact, it's so much rubbish. The UK isn't even part of the EU no more. It's Brexit. We've left. So how can the EU dictate what goes on in this country? As stupid rumours that are going around on the internet at the moment. So anyway, I'm going to leave that here. But as an advertisement for the group, because the group is only as strong as the community, and the community is growing every single day. We are having 2 or 3 new members every day. And the thing is, I do a few posts here and there on the group, but actually it's so busy I can't keep up. Every day I look at the group, there's like 10-20 different conversations that have come from people who've got bad faults with their Mark 1s. Can you help? I've got my Mark 1 in for the body shop. How much is this going to cost? I'm taking my Mark 1 to a show. Look at my car. Lots of nice pictures. Anything. All sorts of things are going on. And it's really great to be in amongst a lovely growing community. And Furious Driving's video on YouTube, as much as I think there was some quite critical mistakes made, the camera work was exemplary as usual. I will be doing a video very soon on a Mark 1 with similar camera work, fingers crossed. And hopefully my facts will be right, ish. And it will do the world of good, because it's made people aware about Mark 1s. And most people generically have extremely good things to say about Mark 1s. So on that side, Luke, I've booked Festival of the Exceptional. Good. I might be there. I don't know which car I'm going in, but I will be there. I'm waiting to be paid on the 28th. I've got 5 days to go, and I've got very little money left. And then as soon as the 28th comes, I get paid on the 28th. I'm booking Festival of the Unexceptional, because the tickets always run out around May. April, May, you're pushing it. They will. Haggerty will put reminders on Twitter and social media, and it will go around on social media, Facebook, very quickly. Oh, there's only 100 tickets left or something, and people will go for it. Don't be one of them. Don't leave it too late. It's a good show. Yes, it's £40, but apparently this year the gates open at 7:30 and it finishes at 7:30. Goodness me, I think I'll be sleeping there by the sounds of it. 12 hours? I don't even think I can cope with that. I'll be on the floor. Take plenty of Lucasade. What's the difference with MOTs between petrols and diesels? Not much, it's just the emissions, Nick. Thank you, it is completely stock and in great condition. Then join the club, my friend. Join the club. Thank you for telling me. Sorry, I missed your comment there for some reason. In my country, at least diesels, they rev them to the red line to check if it is not smoking. And petrols, they can idle. Yeah, that's similar over here actually. There is an excessive smoke test with diesels. Um, Fantastic. I booked Xmas. Xmas? Christmas? Is that what you meant? Excuse me. Christmas? Is that what you meant? Is that a typo? What do you mean by that, Luke? Sorry, I'm confused there a little bit. You booked Christmas. I hope not. Well, I hope Christmas is too far away from me. Oh, you booked it at Christmas. I'm so sorry. Okay, Vicky. I booked at Christmas. Fair enough then. That's good. Most people, I think there was an initial, most people booked at Christmas, but then there was the initial, oh my God, it's gone up from £26 to £40. They absolutely ripping people off. What you got to understand is when a show gets popular, this is what happens. I mean, only a few years ago it was free, it was relatively free, wasn't it? So it's interesting to see where the show goes. If Ruby had, I tell you what, if Ruby had professional paintwork, which won't be done this year, I'm just going to spray up the boot as good as I can, and the arches as good as I can, as soon as possible. For that reason, Ruby will not be in the concourse section. The truth is, though, Ruby is not it's not an unexceptional car. Ruby is a gear, so it's an exceptional car. So it would never win, but I'd always want to try and see if I can put my car in the concourse. I've never won a concourse with any car. Maybe I just don't put my car forward, but I'm not bothered. It's just a piece of metal as a reward. I'm not truly, be honest. The recognition is the most important thing with the hard work you put into your cars. I think that's why I think people do enjoy winning concourse competitions. You know, the recognition. You have put a lot of work in, and people recognise it was the best car of the day in terms of condition. And I tend to think of other ways of rewarding hard work, and Dave Silver is going to be a total. It's going to be the most ultimate rewarding project when it's finished. When it's nearing completion, to the point where he would just have to maintain it. And I like to reward and recognise people for the hard work, which is why I do the videos I do, because there are some people in the community that are working hard on their Mark 1s, and they don't want any recognition. They just want to carefully go about their work, nice and quietly, uninterrupted, and they don't want any attention. They don't want a YouTuber with a camera sticking it in their face. They don't want anything, and that's perfectly fine. But there are people that do want that recognition, and that's where I come into it. So hopefully I can show you people more about what's going on. By the way, my list for the meet is clean the interior, paint the wheels, polish the paint, degrease the engine bay, pass the inspection, and then I can say, absolutely perfect. Exactly. You'll be done once you've done all that, and that's, I'll be going through everything with a feather dust brush and a tooth comb, put it that way. Anyway, I'm going to leave this episode here because that's as far as I get with this. Welcome to another edition of Ford Focus Surgery, sponsored by the Ford Focus Preservation Club, founded by, forgot that one. Yeah, I don't do sponsorships on this channel, but if I do, it's this. So you take care, guys. I will see you in another episode. There's a bit of a mix of Rover Fiesta Focus videos at the moment, but I've just completed 2 nice videos, very helpful videos on Focus Mark 1s, what you need to look out for, common problems, etc., because people do like them videos and they are useful to people, and that's what it's all about. Anyway, I'll let you go. Night, matey. Night, Luke. You take care, buddy, and just message me with everything you need. And do have a look on the group. It's under the events section. There's 2 meetups. Okay. Tadas, thanks for the stream. Had fun talking, and have a good rest. I certainly will. You too. You too. Good to chat. Nick, excellent stream, Andrew. Thank you for joining, Nick. You take care, buddy. Ekas, I've pronounced that right. Take care, buddy. You stay safe, and I'll end this live stream. No problem. Pleasure to help. I will switch off now.